not that I don't want you here. It's something about the way you stare into my eyes. I know that I can make things clear. I fall for you every time I try to resist. We can get away from these beach views and every day.
Hey guys, you're welcome back to my channel today. Thank you so much for stopping by. In this video, I'll be cutting and sewing this very simple BUBU dress with fringe that you can see on your screen. If you're interested, keep on watching and let's get started. I already went ahead to fold my fabric into 4 and I'm going to be sewing this fringe on the front of this dress. So what I'm going to do is to measure what I have on this fringe and I'm going to minus it from the front fabric. Okay, so the length of this fringe is about 19 inches and I'm going to fold my fabric into 4. Once I fold my fabric, I'm going to reduce the front of the fabric by 19 inches, meaning the front will be 19 inches shorter than the back. Okay, so I'll fold my fabric just like we normally do. I folded my fabric into 2, okay, and I folded it into another 2. So to fold your fabric, you are going to use the largest circumference of your body, which in most cases it is the hip circumference. Okay, you are going to use your hip circumference divided by 4 plus how many inches you want. In my case, I added 4 inches to that measurement, and it also depends on how long you want the sleeves of your BUBU dress to be. So I've gone ahead to fold my fabric. So this is what I meant. This is the front. The front is shorter than the back. Okay, the front is 19 inches shorter than the back. So I'm going to place my tape for you guys to see. After sewing the fringe in place, the fringe is now going to replace the fabric that we reduced from the front. The length of my dress is 60 inches and I added 1 inch to the base for hemming allowance. Okay, so the 1 inch on the base is going to be for the hemming allowance, and the 19 inches that I reduced from the front, the fringe is going to cover that up. I hope you guys are not confused. So guys, I'll go ahead and start placing my measurements on the folded edge of this fabric. That is where my center front is. Remember, the fabric is folded into 4, and on the upper part, which is going to serve as my shoulder line, that part is also folded because of the pattern that my fabric has. That is why I folded my fabric like that. So the next thing I went ahead to do was to take half of my shoulder measurement, which is 7.5 inches. I indicated that with a dot. After doing that, I'm going to take my neck width of 3 inches. It depends on how wide you want the neckline to be. And for the depth for the back, I'll go down by just 1 inch, and then I'll connect from that 1 inch to meet the 3 inches neck width like this. After doing that, I'm going to determine the neck depth for the front. So my client just wants a V neck, so I'm just going to go down by 6 inches. After marking the 6 inches, I'll use my ruler to connect in a V form to meet the neck width, just like this. After doing that, guys, this is what I have. The next thing I'll do is to go down by 1 inch on the end of the fabric. I'll go down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and then I'm going to connect from there to meet the shoulder measurements using my ruler. The next thing I'll do is to place my measurements. So like I said before, I'll be using my hip circumference divided by 4 because my hip is the largest part of my body circumference. My hip circumference divided by 4 is 9.5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and add 5 inches to this measurement. 1 inch is going to serve as my stitching allowance, while 4 inches is going to serve as my ease allowance. Okay, because this is a BUBU dress, it's supposed to be free, so I added 4 inches. So what I'm going to do is to determine the length of my sleeves, guys. So from the shoulder measurement, I'm going to go ahead and mark what I have. What I have is about 15.5 inches. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to place my tape on the shoulder slope and I'll go down by about 13 inches. That is how wide I want the sleeves area to be. So you can do 10 inches, 11 inches, 12 inches depending on what you want, but I want the sleeves to be very wide. So I connected in a straight line from that 13 inches to meet the measurement that I have on the bust line. After doing that, I'm going to use my chalk to create like an armhole. I'll just create a curve, and from that point I'll connect straight down to meet my dress length. I'll use my chalk to mark the armhole like this. After doing that, guys, next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and cut. So I'm cutting the back neckline first. After cutting the back neckline, I'll separate the front and the back, and then I'll trim out the front neckline. So pay close attention so you know where to cut. After cutting, guys, I went ahead to separate the front and the back. So I'm going to go ahead and trim out the front neckline just exactly as it is. I'm going to trim it off. After doing that, I'm going to go ahead and cut out a facing for the front and the back neckline. So after sewing, I realized that the neckline for the front was quite small. So instead of going down by 6 inches, you can do 7 inches or 7.5 inches, just so it's easier for you to wear. So I went ahead to fold my fabric into two. I'm going to place the center front on it like this, and I'm going to just trim it off. After doing that, I'm also going to repeat the same process for the back, but if you don't have enough fabric, you can use your bias tape to just pipe the neckline. After cutting it out, this is what I have. I'm going to place them right sides facing right sides, and I'm going to pin all the way around. And I'm going to repeat the same thing for the back. I'll fold my fabric into two. I'll place the back neckline on the fabric, and I'll go ahead and trim. After trimming, I'll go ahead and place them right sides facing each other, and I'll sew. So if you check the neckline on the thumbnail, you'll see that they used the same color of bias to pipe it, and my fabric is already yellow. Even if I use my yellow bias to pipe it, it's still not going to show. So if you want to use a bias to pipe yours to the right side, so you sew the bias on the wrong side and you turn it over to the right side, and then you top stitch it, so the bias will be showing on the on the right side of your neckline. I hope you understand. So guys, I've gone ahead to turn the front and the back neckline using the facing. After sewing, I turned it to the wrong side and I went ahead to hold it down using my hemming gum. You can also top stitch if you want. After doing that, this is what I have. You can see how neat it is. The next thing I'm going to do is to place the front and the back together, just like you see me doing, and I'll go ahead and sew on the shoulder line. Okay. After sewing the shoulder in place, I went ahead to turn it to the right side, and I went ahead to open up the sleeves area. So I went ahead to cut out this piece of fabric that I'll be using to pipe the sleeves. Instead of hemming, I'll be using this fabric to pipe it. So the length of this fabric is 3 inches and the wideness should be as long as the sleeves area is. I also went ahead to fold both ends of this fabric by about 1/4 inch. So what I'm going to do is to place this fabric on the right side of the sleeves. I'm using it to hem it. I'll place it on the right side. So the fabric is on the right side and this piece of fabric is also on the right side. So I'm going to sew straight down. After sewing, I'm going to now turn it to the wrong side, and then I'll either sew or I'll use my hemming gum to hold it down to give it a neat finishing. After doing that, guys, this is what I have. So I used my hemming gum. I ironed my hemming gum to the wrong side. So this is what it looks like on the wrong side. I'm still going to go ahead and top stitch on it just to hold it down. So the fabric is on the inside, is on the wrong side of the sleeves. I don't know if you understand. So after doing that, I'm going to arrange the dress in place just like you see me doing, and I'll pin all the way down. After doing that, I'm going to use the 1 inch that I left as my stitching allowance to sew all the way to the end of the dress. And when I get to about 1 inch before where the front fabric ended, I'm going to stop there. I'll stop there and I'll go ahead and hem the front. I'll use about 1/4 inch to hem it inside. After sewing the side seam in place, I went ahead to turn it inside out, and this is what I have. I also went ahead to hem the base of the front length, and I also hemmed the base of the back length. Remember, I left 1 inch for the base of the back. I went ahead to use the 1 inch. So what I'm going to do is to fold the sides of this back to give it a neat finishing. I will hem it inside just so it's neat. Okay, I'll just conceal the edges. After concealing the edges, I'm going to now join the remaining part, which is the 1 inch that I left earlier. I'm going to join the front and the back together. After doing that, guys, this is what I have. You can see how I concealed the side of the back. So the next thing I'm going to do is to sew my fringe in place. So you can place your fringe anyhow you like it. Okay, you can place it on the hem line and you can place it underneath the hem line. It depends on what you want. I'll be placing mine on the hem line just to cover that hemming, the hemming that I did, just to cover it up. So I'll place it. Before you place it, make sure you fold the fringe inward. Okay, conceal the edges of the fringe, then place it and then pin all the way to the end. So I'm going to run 2 straight stitches on the fringe. And yeah, guys, that is all for this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. Don't forget to like this video, leave your questions in the comment section. I'll see you guys in the next one.